Welcome back to Capitol Review. Another school shooting reported in the United States. 2 children killed, dozens injured after a shooter opened fire on a church during the first week of school in Minnesota. Investigators say that the shooter was obsessed with the idea of killing defenseless children. They say the 23-year-old fired 116 rifle rounds through stained glass windows as the children were in the pews praying during Mass.
Things that we found so far are just really some very disturbing writings and a whole lot of hatred towards a whole lot of people and various different groups.
Officials say the shooter had no criminal history. The White House says the FBI is investigating this as an act of domestic terrorism and hate crime against Catholics. Joining us now is John Sancenito, the president of Information Network Associates, a security and investigative consulting firm. John, it's been a while, but welcome back to Capitol Review.
Thank you, Mark. Good to be here.
We're always glad to have you. Let's talk about the lessons learned about that tragic mass shooting at a Catholic school in Minnesota.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. This tragedy is not just about one school. It affects an entire community. And these are our children, our neighbors, our places of worship. And the grief is shared by all of us for all of those who are going through this unfortunate tragedy.
A lot of experts, including yourself, feel that mental health can no longer be ignored. Explain.
I think that mental health in our society has been something that everybody talks about, but not a lot of money or resources have been spent on it. People don't suddenly just become violent. This is a long progression and series of failures and perceived lack of control that individuals have. We closed down mental institutions, pushed people back into the communities, and said that we were going to give them help within their homes and their communities, and we have not properly funded that. I think that is a crisis, and we're seeing the results of that crisis all across the U.S. right now, with a lack of mental health services available to those who need it.
John, you recently wrote that violence is an escalating process and warning signs are almost always present. Talk about that.
Warning signs almost always exist. It may not be visible from everybody on the outside, but it's almost always visible from those who are close to the individual, mainly their family members, their friends, their colleagues, and so forth. Violence doesn't just happen. People don't just one day wake up and snap and decide to go commit a mass shooting. This escalates over a long period of time. These people have grievances, and they decide to take them out either on the subject who they feel has harmed them, or on society as a whole. They're trying to make a point. They oftentimes feel powerless, so this is their way of feeling powerful, of being remembered, of doing something that is so horrific that they feel that they'll be remembered forever.
John, talk about soft targets. What are soft targets, and what can be better done to protect them?
Soft targets are those organizations or businesses or schools and houses of worship that don't have a lot of physical security controls in place and do not typically have security guards to protect them. There are a lot of soft targets in our society. It could be a church, it could be a shopping mall, it can be a public gathering place that doesn't have proper security. We've taken a lot of steps lately to harden schools, but I think churches have been largely overlooked, even though these acts of violence continuously happen in places of worship. And it is time that all soft targets, all businesses or places that are vulnerable, take a new look at their security and really invest in some proper security planning.
John, quickly, about 30 seconds left. Talk about the importance of an emergency plan.
I think all organizations need an emergency plan, but an emergency plan can't be something that's just created and put on a shelf. It is useless unless people understand what their roles are in an emergency, and you have to have people properly understand what is expected of them. An emergency plan does not need to be overly complicated, but it does need to take into consideration the environment, the people the roles that people need to play in an emergency, and then you need to train those involved on it. I heard that one of the school children in this particular incident say that they practiced emergency active shooter drills, but never in the church setting. I think that that's indicative of a lot of houses of worship. We need to take these things seriously. We need to plan for these kind of things. As unfortunate as it is, this is our reality in society.
John Sancenito, thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.